Not all love is romantic. Some love, it is carved in sacrifice. Some love, it is buried in regret. And in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, that kind of love, it might be the end of Gaara. So imagine this, you're a father, you're sealed away, you're helpless, and your adopted son becomes a monster to protect you. And when you finally awaken, you're met with the corpse of one of your students, a girl that you love like one of your own children. A girl who died on a mission meant to save your adopted son and by extension save you. Your duty as a master was to protect her. You couldn't protect her from death because you weren't there. And that might be where Gaara is headed next. And what happens next, it could break everyone because this arc is about love, but not the kind of love with chocolates and blushes like Boruto and Sumire fans and Boruto and Sarda fans and Boruto and Mitsuki fans are talking about. This is the kind of love that scars, the kind of love that saves, and the kind of love that ends lives in order to preserve others. Let's talk about why Gaara's return could be one of the most bittersweet moments in the entire Boruto 2 Blue Vortex so far, and why win, lose, or draw, it will be something unforgettable. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a look at why the story should very strongly consider a plot twist with Gaara, Yodo, and Shinki in the future, which, let me be clear for the TLDW, too long didn't watch people. This isn't a theory, this is a discussion on why narratively it makes more sense to have Yodo's death and Gaara's unsealing play off of each other for more of a climactic and bittersweet payoff that pays homage to what we saw in the Kazekage arc. Also, if you aren't subbed to my Anime Explained channel, the editor on that channel is cooking up some explained videos for the remaining summer anime from My Dress Up Darling to Kaiju number 8, Don Da Don, and so much more. The same with the Everything One Piece Explained channel. Links to those channels are on my homepage of Naruto Explained, as well as to the description box, so sub if you haven't already. So jumping right into it, let's just set up the picture here. So to understand what's coming, we need to revisit how Gaara was sealed. At the start of this arc in a flashback, Gaara was faced with a sudden threat. He was fighting Matsuri, Matsuri was putting boots to asses to him. Shinki, his adopted son, he trained him, he molded him, he loved him. He threw himself in the line of fire in order to protect Gaara, but it went all wrong. Shinki was bitten by a claw grime, and he transformed into Ryu, an awakened Shinju driven by destruction and not by memory. All while Gaara remained sealed, helpless, dealing with critical injuries, completely unaware of what Shinki had become. Already, that is love, not romantic, but familial. It is protective. It is tragic. This is a direct echo from the Naruto themes that love redeems, but love also comes at cost. Chalk one up for those idiots over on Reddit, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and etc. who say there are no connections to Naruto. They're just proving they have low reading comprehension. But that's where the pain truly begins. So now we move into the love triangle and Yodo's death. So meanwhile, in this very same arc that deals with love, we were introduced to a subplot that felt like it was simple romantic fluff that people brushed aside, but it exploded with consequence. Yodo, Shinki's teammate, and as we learn, a girl that it is implied he may feel some feelings for, confessed her love and her feelings not directly to Shinki but to Sarda, revealing a deep secret and a beautifully awkward twist. Yodo had feelings for Shinki. She referred to him as being that person that she would stand against the entire world for, the same way that Sarda was standing that way for Boruto. And Araya, another teammate, it is also implied he is quietly in love with Yodo as well. So yes, we have a tragic love triangle being formed, and we barely had time to unpack it before the unthinkable happened. Yodo died. Her health bar went all the way to 0. She sacrificed herself so that Sarda could reawaken her Mangekyo Sharingan. Her final act was rooted in the same kind of selfless love that we saw from Shinki. Protective, noble, devastating. Her love was not a side plot. Instead, it was an emotional nuke that accumulated in Sarada getting the Mangekyo Sharingan reawakened, and she blew Ryu up. And the way that Gaara's return is positioned, Yodo's death is going to matter a lot more than a lot of people realize if the story goes this route, and I think it should, because it has been hammering home way too much that Yodo's dead. Like, they are stressing it and laying it on thick. And that brings me to Araya's mission and the price of revival. So this is where things do shift. Boruto's time-altering actions caused Kawaki to remove his limiters early. It changed the timeline. This domino effect led to Araya, the most quiet, reserved member of the trio, becoming the one carrying Yodo's dead body and Ryu's Thorn Soul Bulb, which contained Shinki. Why? Because unsealing Shinki also directly unseals Gaara, because Shinki's the only one who can undo Gaara's seal. But that means that Gaara's gonna return to a moment of tragedy. He's gonna see Yodo's lifeless body. The last thing he saw before was he was telling his students to get out of there, and now he's just seeing Yodo balled up like something thrown up the side of the road. And he's gonna learn what happened to Shinki, what he became, and that Yodo died in order to get that Thorn Soul Bulb to save Shinki and by extension save Gaara. And as a Kazekage, he is going to feel that weight. As a father to Shinki, he's going to feel that weight. As a teacher to Yodo, he's going to feel that weight. This could shatter him emotionally, and it should be worth noting, what's the thing tattooed directly on Gaara's head? The kanji for the word love. And that's where it gets dangerous. Gaara has a choice right now. One that could mirror a moment from his past, because it should be worth noting, Gaara should be dead. He should have died in the Kazekage arc. He was given a second chance at life by Chiyo. So let's rewind back to that Kazekage rescue arc, because it is a Chiyo parallel that is right here for the story to exploit, and it could be a full circle redemption moment. So remember Chiyo, that quirky elder puppeteer who once represented the Sand Village's worst mistakes, and part of her character arc was not trusting in the new generation? Well, she used a forbidden jutsu, the one's own life jutsu, I believe is what the data book calls it. It's a life for life reviving technique. It brought Gaara back to life from the dead, but she gave her life in exchange because she saw how Gaara had people around him who loved, and she went through her own character arc, and she basically learned about love and protection and trusting in the next generation. That moment was a turning point in Naruto's story, where one of the members from the old generation finally gave breath to the new generation, a final breath for the new generation. It set a precedent that we will see in the arcs moving forward, with Asuma dying and then Jiraiya and etc. Well, imagine this right now. Gaara sees Yodo's corpse, hears what she died for, and realizes that love once again demands life. This is his chance to complete the cycle, to be what Chiyo was for him, to give himself for the next generation. If Gaara uses that forbidden jutsu and brings Yodo back to life, it would be one of the most poetic moments in the franchise since Jiraiya's death, in my opinion, especially since this would be for keeps. And for the people saying, how would Gaara know this? It should be worth noting, it's a forbidden jutsu. Chiyo would have had that written down in a scroll somewhere. Chances are Gaara as Kazekage would have access to that. Now, even if he doesn't do this, let's say Yodo does stay dead, which that takes huge balls. It leaves us in a world where love couldn't save everyone, where victory comes with loss, where the war against the Shinju comes at an emotional price. We win either way, and I want to layer it on a little bit thicker here, because once you look at this from the Buddhist lens too, in particular when it comes to the themes of detachment, death, and generational release. In many ways, Gaara having a potential death to save Yodo, much like Chiyo, it could save him. It aligns very deeply with core Buddhist principles, and Boruto, as a extension of Naruto, builds very heavily on Buddhist principles. It seems like mind-blowing stuff to us, but for any Asian person reading Naruto, they catch this stuff like it's nothing. Same way, say, like a African American person will watch a movie like Sinners, and they'll pick up on little small things that are subtle that might go over the head of someone that's not African American or not familiar with African American culture. Same thing if you're consuming content and you're a Christian and it's a Western production and it has Western Christian elements that are sprinkled into the story. The same thing, especially the concept of impermanence and letting go of attachments. Buddhism teaches that all things are transient, and the suffering we experience often stems from our own clinging to life, to relationships, to love, to ideals. In this arc, Gaara is metaphorically and literally bound, first by the seal that rendered him powerless, and potentially later by the emotional weight and love and grief and guilt when he sees what happened in his absence. Should Gaara choose to give up his life for Yodo, it would reflect not an act of despair, but one of profound detachment from self, the Buddhist ideal of relinquishing ego and identity for a higher purpose. Just as Chiyo, a relic from the war-torn shinobi system, surrendered herself for the next generation, Gaara could embody the same spiritual truth, that truth and true love is not about possession or control, but instead it is about release. This would echo the wheel of Dharma, which Kawaki happens to have Ishiki's eye. Ishiki's eyes pattern after the Dharma wheel. With that wheel, each generation must eventually make way for the next to evolve. The old give life to the young. It is a symbolic turning of the wheel, moving the world forward while embracing the inherent suffering and loss that changes things. Gaara's story then becomes more than just a father trying to right a wrong, more than a sensei trying to right a wrong, more than a kazekage trying to right a wrong. It becomes an act of karmic liberation, a conscious ending of the cycle he was once trapped inside of as a weapon of hate because he was a Jinchuriki, this time not dying in violence when he got the Biju extracted from him like he did in Naruto volume 29, I believe, but instead by dying in love. Whether Gaara lives or dies, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex does stand poised to deliver a moment that resonates not just narratively, but most importantly, spiritually. This is about heartbreak ahead, potentially Gaara's fate. In my opinion, we should say that the narrative should strongly consider it's already written in heartbreak. Whether he lives or dies, whether Yodo is saved or buried, this arc doesn't just remind us that love is powerful. It reminds us that love is dangerous, it is imperfect, and sometimes love is too late, a lesson that Minato and Obito know all too well. And yet, the fact that Gaara might be the one who finally pays that price, it makes this war not necessarily a war arc against the Shinju, but a human arc, and very poetic given that the Shinju's entire arc is directly tied to answering the question of what it means to be human. This is a story that is potentially open up a chapter about legacies and fathers and sons, teachers and students, and the inescapable cost of compassion. Gaara was once a monster who could not love. Now he might die, proving that love was the only thing that ever truly saved him. And in the end, that's what makes this arc of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex so powerful. Should the story do this, which again, I say it should, it's not just about power levels, it's about people and the love that they're willing to die for. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking here on the left to check out more Naruto videos, or click here on the right to check out videos from my other two anime channels where I talk about everything except for Naruto.